Abshini, the newly elected Johannesburg mayor, Dada Morero, is under fire. The reason he's under fire is because he made a crazy suggestion, according to many. He suggested that because of the high crime rate that is in Johannesburg, especially crime committed by foreigners, that the South African Police Service should consider hiring legally documented foreigners so that they can help fight the crime, especially with this issue of language barrier. You know, when you can't speak a person's language, it's even hard to arrest them. Now, many South Africans got angered by this because of the high unemployment rate in South Africa. And they are saying, listen, we as South Africans should hire South Africans and teach them the languages of other African countries. Well, in Africa, there's 3,000 languages. In Nigeria alone, there's like 525 languages. Which language are you going to teach? That's another thing. I think South Africans must come out and be clear that they don't want foreigners in our land. They don't want foreigners to work here, whether legally or illegally. They don't want them. The Chinese are okay. The British are okay. The Dutch are okay. The Germans, the Canadians, anyone is welcome here, but Africans. And this is a conversation we need to have.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
I have no problem. My accountant is a Zimbabwean.
Yes.
He came here with papers. He came here legally.
Yes.
If you jump the fence, there's a difference between the guy that jumped the fence and the guy that came in legally.
Yeah.
I'm not saying foreign people. I've got businesses outside this country.
Yes.
That's not what I'm saying.
Oh! Yo!
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, Kagiso Hlongwane Sinjiva Sono, Mr. Easy Imali Enenge, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, I'm discussing this issue of the Joburg mayor, the suggestion that he made that, listen, I think it would benefit us as the South African police force to hire legally documented foreigners to assist us with fighting crime with these illegal and legal foreigners in our land. Many people did not take kindly to those type of utterance. They felt like he was disrespecting South Africa, and if you look at the wave in which South Africa is riding on now, it's an anti-African, it's not about being legal or illegal anymore. It's just pushing that X word very so slightly each and every day. So the mayor made this, it was an innocent suggestion because they were going into the Johannesburg ANC Lekgotla where they were discussing the different things that affect them. Before we get into my breakdown to this, I think let's first listen to what the mayor said and why such utterances would make South Africans angry.
To this now, Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero ruffled feathers today. He suggested that the Regional Executive Committee to consider the recruitment of properly documented foreign nationals to work for the Johannesburg Metro Police Department. But recruitment of properly documented foreign nationals to work for the Johannesburg Metro Police Department. But of properly documented foreign nationals to work for the Johannesburg Metro Police Department. But he was shot down. Morero says these comments were made to spark debate. Let's take a listen to what he said and how he explained his thoughts afterwards.
That none of our policemen and women in uniform can speak any of the foreign African languages. And the challenge is for us to deal with crime. And you can have all your suspects here. Before they write their statements, they can plan what they are going to say in front of you without you even hearing what they are saying. It might be a culture shock to suggest to this REC that if we are serious about fighting crime in Ward 67, we have no option. But those that are properly documented, with proper documents, can be recruited to the Johannesburg Metro Police Department.
Everybody says speak truth to power. Everybody wants to tell the government what to do. But who tells us sometimes what to do? You look at our communities. You ask yourself, how did the Africans, the guys from Zimbabwe, the guys from the DRC, how do they make it here? Because they are an integral part of this economy. So much so that if all of them have to decide to leave on a particular hour and go back to the country, this country would not function. But the problem with us is that as black people, I'm talking about here, we are lazy. And people are scared to say that. I'm not scared to say black people are lazy. You know what? We do not want to do the things, we want to do the things that we studied for. We want to do the things that we have. Yo.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was for me a sound-minded suggestion. Now, many people would agree with it. Some people would disagree with it, and I understand why both sides would be reasoning otherwise. So many South Africans would say, listen, in South Africa, we've got an issue of unemployment. Many of our South African brothers and sisters are looking for jobs. So let's rather employ them and then spend money to get them to learn the different African languages. I mean, that is an absurd, for me, suggestion. It can work. You can imagine if a South African commits crime in I want to choose one country, in Ivory Coast, and there's no interpreter of a South African languages. Or maybe there's one interpreter that interprets only in Zulu, because Zulu is the most spoken language in South Africa. And that South African that committed the crime in Angola or wherever is stronger. What are the chances that the interpreter would know Tsonga? It's the same thing that happens with Nigeria, because most of them, I know this thing is made because of Nigerians. There's 525 languages in Nigeria. Most of them sound almost the same, tribe by tribe. For example, in South Africa, if I was working in Angola and I was interpreting, mina ngiyakwazi ukukhuluma isiZulu, sasithetha isiXhosa, isiSwati, isiNdebele ngisaraka njengelimi langekhethu, kubulela Sepedi, isiTswana kuyasibuwa, Sesotho le sona yela yalo rasibulela, and then bulabula Shangani, know a little bit of Venda. All the languages of South Africa, I know them. But the chances of having someone who's not from those countries knowing those languages, the way, like for me, if I'm interpreting for a person who speaks Xhosa, I can speak Zulu very well, but the Xhosa person will be able to understand me. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because of understanding the culture of my country. The person who's not from my country will not understand. And if I'm a criminal, I'm a crooky person. So when I get to court, when they ask me what language do I speak, I would say Venda, because what chances are there that the interpreter knows how to speak Venda? And then there will be that thing of saying there was not a fair trial, and that is how many criminals are released in our justice system, because of lack of interpreters and lack of evidence and all of those things. And you've got time to maneuver as criminals and plan in front of the police, because the police can't hear you, and plan and say, plan your statement and say, let's put our statement like this. They can't do anything if we put our statement like this. So I understand what the mayor Dada was trying to suggest. Many, like I said, many might not agree, many might agree, but I understand why he would make that suggestion. Now, the disgusting thing about the South African internet culture, this black Twitter thing, is that if you suggest something that South Africans don't agree with, they then attempt to block you, to cancel you. Now they are saying a petition must come out so that the mayor must be released. Why? Because he made a suggestion. Is that why we are releasing people today? Because he made a suggestion. And that suggestion did not pass anyway. The Lekgotla decided, no, we're not going to take that suggestion. So, you know, there's so many Nigerians staying in Johannesburg. If you look at how Hebrew looks, it needs to be cleaned up. You understand? We have a policing issue. And that policing issue, language is one of those barriers that our police meet, because many of our African brothers are not fluent or good in English speaking. English is not a language that they speak, you know, very well. So they just speak French. Some of them just speak Spanish. Some of them just speak Portuguese, for example, depending on which country colonized their country. So for me, it was sad to see that such a suggestion, people could have just said, listen, yeah, we hear what you are saying, but we disagree with you. And then the mayor can just say, okay, no, it's fine. But for the ANC that is claiming to be multiracial, multicultural, multi-tribal, all of those things, to make him apologize, to say, listen, go and apologize for this statement that you made. For me, it's just giving that assurance that I gave you guys, that what we call it, a prophecy or prediction that I gave you, that in the next coming 3 months, we're going to see many, many more cases of xenophobic attack, of African brothers being attacked, and you're never going to see Chinese, the whites, all of them. You're never going to see them getting bothered. Only African brothers will suffer from this type of rules. You know. And my question, in addition to that, is that then where do we stop? Where do you stop? If you don't want the Nigerian brothers who are legally here, some of them staying here for 20 years, 15 years, more than 30 years in South Africa, if you don't want them to come and help us fight the crime and change the narrative of all Nigerians are bad, you know, you can have a hero of a Nigerian policeman. And I understand you can even have a corrupt one, like we have corrupt South African police. I mean, how many times must I tell you about South African police who go to Pakistani shops to go and check for permits and check for identity and everything, and then they go behind at the shop, at the back of the shop, to go and steal the money themselves. South African police guys, you know, it's now my question is, where do you stop? Then does it mean you don't want any foreign African teachers in South Africa? Does it mean that you don't want any foreign nurses and doctors in South Africa? Is that what you mean? Because there are unemployed doctors in South Africa, unemployed nurses in South Africa. Are you saying they must go through the system first? If yes, then let it be like that. I don't have a problem. Then let's do that. But let it be clear to the other African countries that you cannot come and work in South Africa. You cannot be an accountant in South Africa. You cannot be an engineer in South Africa. You know, let's South Africans, let's just tell the rest of Africa that we don't want them here. We are okay with the Chinese. We are okay with them. They can come here and do whatever they want. They can steal and abuse our black laborers and do whatever they want here. But the Africans, they are not welcome. Let's just be straight and forward and let it be changed in our policies, our documents, our laws, and let's be clear to the rest of Africa that we don't want them here, even though they are legally documented. Poor mayor, because of social media and the attack that he got on social media, he had to retrieve his statement very quickly. You know, after that Lekgotla, he had to come out and say, yo guys, it was just merely a suggestion. I'm sorry I made that suggestion, but I'm retrieving my statements. And for me, it pains me that you are not even allowed to suggest anything that is different from how many South Africans are thinking.
So today's media conference is convened to respond to the concerns centered around my proposal in relation to resolving language barriers and challenges which are confronted by our law enforcement agencies. The comments I made were to the effect that the city of Johannesburg might have to consider recruiting qualified and properly documented foreign nationals into the JMPD to assist with bridging the language barriers which frustrate the work of our police when investigating crimes involving foreigners. I shared these views in order to inspire debate in the Lekgotla, which is a platform for ANC leaders to consider with open-mindedness all options available to resolve challenges facing our people. Having debated my proposal, the Lekgotla came to the conclusion that the recruitment of foreign nationals into the JMPD or any of the security cluster for that matter is both undesirable and unattainable in the wake of the high levels of unemployment crisis in South Africa, including the challenges on migration and immigration. The Lekgotla resolved that we should instead train our officers to be proficient in foreign languages that are dominant in areas with the highest concentration of specific groups of foreign nationals. The Lekgotla, however, accepted the concern that language barriers frustrate police work as valid and legitimate. Upon further reflection, I have come to the conclusion that my suggestion was not consistent with the policies of the ANC and policies of government. I therefore unconditionally withdraw my proposal and apologize for the anxiety it might have caused to the residents of Johannesburg and the people of South Africa as a whole. I wish to appreciate, of course, the robust manner in which our people were engaged in this discourse, especially in social media platforms. The participation of our people in this discourse reaffirms our belief that we have a vibrant and conscious citizenry upon which a prosperous society can and will be built. And let me conclude by saying the instructions of the Lekgotla are clear that the proposal by the regional chair has been rejected and the Lekgotla has resolved on the way forward on this matter, and I will therefore not entertain any further debates in as far as this proposal is concerned.
And what I have warned African brothers in South Africa in particular, South Africans, let me rather say South Africans, and Julius Malema has warned you guys also that it's not going to stop with the African people. It's not going to stop. It's going to continue with provinces. It's going to continue with tribes. Once we release or deport all the African brothers out of our country, then it's going to be that issue. No, you come from Limpopo, you can't work in KwaZulu-Natal. There are people in KwaZulu-Natal that don't have jobs. You understand? Then you come from Mpumalanga, you can't come work in Northern Cape like me. I'm from Mpumalanga, I work in Northern Cape. There's people in Northern Cape who can do the job I'm doing, who are unemployed. Does it mean that I, as a South African, cannot work in a different province? You understand? There are people from Northern Cape who are working in my province in Mpumalanga. You know, and it's going to be those things that now it's going to be that thing of Puta Botswana, that you are being asked to speak Tswana, and if you can't speak it, you go. You're asked to speak Zulu. If you can't speak Zulu, you go. You are asked, that's where it's going to get at the end of the day. You understand? It does not end. It does not stop with the African brothers. And in everything that we do, we must realize that it does not affect or impact the white people at all. Only Africans. Only Africans get impacted. That's my problem. That's my issue. You'll never hear these people voice out their opinion about those who colonize us, those who got land illegally here, the white people who are buying their identification in the Home Affairs and everything. You'll never hear anything about white people. It's always black, black, black. I mean, I'm not defending the crimes that our Nigerian brothers and sisters are committing here. If you commit crime, you must be deported, you must go to jail, you must be punished for it. I don't have time for crime. I don't entertain that rubbish of protecting someone who stole someone something, who who defrauded someone, human trafficking, drugs, and all of those things. I'm just saying, when you arrest the Nigerian drug dealer, or equally be angry at the AfriForum provincial chairperson of Limpopo, who was the one who was manufacturing these drugs in his farm. Be equally angry at the AfriForum white African Boer who was manufacturing the drugs in his farm. Then the same anger that you apply here with the end user or the person who sells it, the distributor in the streets of Johannesburg. That's what I'm saying. So I want to know what's your opinion on the comment section, and let's keep it realistic, because we don't want to force Pan-Africanism down people's throat. We don't want that. But let's be fair in our judgment. Are you saying, South Africans, and I want to test your mentality, and please be free in your reasoning on the comment section. Don't say because King said this, I'm saying that. No, be as honest as possible. Are we saying in South Africa, we're going to come to a point where we say, until all South Africans are working, those who want to work, no foreigner from Africa, legally or illegally, in the farms, legally or illegally, must work there until South Africans are taken care of? Is that what we are saying? And if we say that, would we be happy if the same logic was applied on South Africans overseas? So all the South Africans who are working overseas, we must give them jobs here, because when they come back here, they're going to be unemployed. So we must give them job here. All the brothers and sisters who are working in Africa must come back, because we do have teachers, nurses, engineers, accountants, you can name it, business people all around in Africa making business. And you might say, yes, King, they are not committing crime. We had one of our sisters with drugs on her head. I mean, how many crimes have we committed in other countries? Okay, let's not open that debate, because it always go back to Nigerians. But anyways, are we saying, South Africans, honestly speaking, we don't want other people to come and stay in our land? Because I think that's the bottom line. It's like South Africans are afraid to say that, but in their actions, they are saying that. You understand what I'm saying? On social media, you do get that thing. And now they are discriminating the mayor, saying his head is too big, Home Affairs must check his identification, and all of those things, those typical South African behavior when they don't want someone. In fact, I've also suffered from that type of behavior not so long ago. It was last night on TikTok, voicing my opinion on some issues about foreigners and anything. Then the South African lady started attacking me. He said, actually, when you are a kwere, nobody by the name of King comes from South Africa. The way you speak, your English is not South African and all of... I was attacked by a lady by the name of Sibongile. And I was like, oh, these people, because there you can't see, on TikTok, you can't see the face. Why didn't I record it? I was supposed to record it. Anyway, let's just be clear, my South African people. What are we doing? Don't we want other people to come to our country? Don't we want to go work? And most of the time, I find this type of reasoning come from people who don't travel. When I say travel, I mean they've never even left their province. They still stay where they were born. They work around where they are born. You know, that mentality comes from those type of people. People who have traveled, they know things. But anyway, that's my take on it. For me, Dada Morero did nothing wrong, but merely suggest. Suggestion could have turned out, be turned down. It's okay. Some people don't agree with their suggestion. It's okay. But to suggest that the mayor who's just been newly appointed is incompetent to lead Gauteng, and I'm not defending the the ANC by any means. He's incompetent to lead Johannesburg because of the suggestion he made, trying to fight crime, to say if we get people that can know these people's language, we'll be able to fast track our delivery of fighting crime in our country. I don't know. You guys will tell me on the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you to everyone that has donated to Paseta. Someone asked me, King, these 50 rands, do they make a difference? It makes a difference. Because one thing that we have that other races don't have is numbers. So if you can just keep on that commitment to give that 50 rand monthly, we will get where we need to get. I'm hoping by the end of this week, I'll be giving you guys the architectural designs of the school and everything. Just continue to pray for us, guys, because we are working so hard behind the scene. And as you know, money controls everything. Nothing is for mahala, but we are pushing that we obtain this land, get the title deed so we can celebrate it with you guys. Continue to pray for us that God must open our ways. Our ancestors must hear our cry when we are talking about this land issue. Get the land, build the school, and then we go. So everyone that is committed to donating that 50 rand and even more, some of you are doing more, we appreciate them more, of course. You guys know that at the end of the month, I'll give you guys a report as to how many people have donated. In fact, this week Friday, let me give you the number of people who have donated. The number, not the sum, but the number. How many people? 100 people have donated, for example. I will give it to you guys Friday when we close our books. So I'll do that for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on King Says So. Until we meet again, don't forget to pray. After you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan-Africanism.